Looking back at the 2023 NBA draft, a lot of promising talents entered the league. From point guards built like running backs to 7'4" aliens that do it all, and several players considered to be superstars the second they entered the NBA. Oh, and I almost forgot there was this 6'7" NBA-ready assassin that fell to the 18th pick, when he might have been the smartest and scrappiest player out of the entire draft. His name? Jaime Jaquez Jr. But looking back at how little teams believed in him and how undervalued he was coming into the draft, things have changed. A lot. And for all the right reasons. In this video, we'll be showing you Jaime's difficult and challenging path to the NBA, talk about why he's the perfect fit for the Miami Heat, and discuss why four-year college players are so undervalued in the NBA. But first, we need to put into perspective that Jaime Jaquez was born into a bloodline of hoopers. Both his parents, Jaime Sr. and Angela Jaquez, played basketball at the collegiate level. Going further down the family tree, his grandfather Ezekiel and his brother Richard Jaquez were multi-sport athletes in college and later on in life became head coach and assistant coach to Rio Mesa High School and helped transform the program into a basketball powerhouse. With a family like that, it's not hard to believe that the tradition would continue. As both Jaime and his sister Gabriella picked up the sport at a young age, they both played college basketball at UCLA. Although they were obviously not teammates, they did become the first brother-sister duo to make it to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament on the same team in the same season. And at UCLA is where Triple J developed into the player he is today. Because he was never the highest-rated player in high school, he spent all his years learning, developing, and playing in every facet of the game, making his impact felt in every way imaginable. Talent isn't everything when you have a strong foundation and work ethic. Game after game for 4 straight seasons, Jaime had to overcome multiple obstacles and prove doubters wrong about him, and that resulted in him having an unshakable confidence that no one could take from him. But drafting a 4-year rookie in the first round is not very common in the NBA. On draft night, Triple J and the Miami Heat made history by becoming the first 4-year rookie to be drafted 18th overall in franchise history. The Miami Heat locked in a 6'7" NBA-ready player eager to make an impact. But why did he fall to the 18th pick? Well, in this particular draft, teams only cared about one thing: who had the first overall pick. And when it fell to San Antonio, teams were looking to draft the next big thing. Youth and upside was the goal when making a draft decision. Teams were focusing more on raw athleticism instead of trusting a rookie to come in and contribute, which is what the Heat did, and now they look like geniuses as they went in the completely different direction and are now reaping the benefits of drafting a player that contributes to wins immediately. The same circumstances and qualities that made every other team overlook Triple J was exactly what attracted Pat Riley and Coach Spo to the 4-year player. They respected his unconventional route to the NBA. Instead of following the one-and-done path that is very popular in today's day and age, Jaime didn't rush. He took his time and prioritized his development and team success in college, which is something that the Heat deeply respects. But why were the Heat the only team that took a chance on Jaime? You have to understand that there is a stigma when it comes to drafting older players. I mean, sure, they have more experience and have already proved themselves at the collegiate level. But why draft a college senior when you can draft a 19-year-old one and done? Drafting the younger player seems like a no-brainer to most rebuilding teams, since they're further removed from their physical prime and can use those years to develop at the highest level. But that doesn't always work, and it's only a good idea if you're a rebuilding team and are able to take the time to be there with the everyday responsibilities of developing a player. Just look at what happened to James Wiseman with the Warriors. They chose to draft for positional fit because they needed a center, but made the mistake of drafting a college freshman. After the big three were healthy and ready to contend, the Warriors lost their patience in developing the young 7-footer and later traded him to the Pistons, where he's constantly battling the bust accusations. The Heat are a contending team and don't have the same time frame to develop a player compared to rebuilding teams, so they needed to put to good use their 18th overall draft pick to acquire a player that could help contribute from day one. But this is not what people expected from the Miami Heat, because all the rumors and mentions surrounding the Heat were linked to Damian Lillard. And when the Bucks got Dame, Everyone questioned Pat Riley's decision-making because the Heat couldn't acquire a star player, and to add insult to injury, they also lost key contributors to their finals run in Gabe Vincent and Max Struss. So they decided to catch everyone off guard and chose to develop a star when trading for one was no longer a viable option. Since the end of the Heatles era, Miami has had to rely heavily on the draft. They're never really in the lottery and have a history of drafting overlooked and undervalued players in the late first round or even the second round. With their recent draft success, you would think that the Heat could draft anyone and easily develop them to their greatest potential. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. The Heat have world-class scouts to make it their mission to find players who fit into the Heat culture. With the recent success of Jaime Jaquez, you would think that four-year players would be more sought after, but that just isn't the case. In recent memory, the only player to be drafted first overall as a four-year college player was Kenyon Martin in 2000. Since then, primarily all first-round and even lottery picks have been one-and-done players. But Jaime's instant impact will have more teams look into four-year players and maybe prioritize NBA readiness over raw prospects. Sometimes the rawness never leads to any progress. But what makes Jaime Jaquez a perfect fit for the Miami Heat? Well, it's a product of him having experience adapting to any system and finding ways to stand out. He contributes to the Heat by being an extra threat on the court, which gives players like Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, and Jimmy Butler more energy to dominate. Jaime's favorite player growing up was Kobe Bryant, and it's very apparent when you watch him playing. The footwork and mid-range game are almost copy and paste like when watching Jaime play. He was never considered the most explosive player, and I've heard mentions of his game resembling somewhat of an old man style of play. Someone like Paul Pierce, who dominated without freakish athleticism. But what people consider a drawback, I consider an advantage. How many rookies come to mind that are able to be effective without Blake Griffin-like athleticism? The fact that Jaime Jaquez's footwork alone is something to be respected this early in his career is astonishing. Keep in mind that there are NBA veterans that don't have half the bag that Jaime is showing in just his rookie season. Rookies, no matter how talented they are, have to earn the trust of their coaches. Just listen to what Spoelstra had to say about Jaime. Mentally wise, work ethic wise, competitive spirit wise, he fits right into our group. There's nothing really we have to adjust from that standpoint. The skill level and him knowing how to play, that's been a very pleasant surprise, and it should be, said Coach Spo just 3 days into training camp. Not many rookies are ready to adjust to the team's culture and contribute immediately. He plays the style of basketball that impresses coaches and gets you playing time, and in Miami, that's exactly what gets you on the floor. He does the critical plays that lead to wins but don't show up on the stat sheet. The Heat have drafted a 6'7" Swiss Army knife that can help them win their 4th NBA championship this year. Looking forward, the future for both Jaime and the Miami Heat are very bright, as they already have a player with strong fundamentals and an even stronger work ethic. With that in place, Jaime will further develop into a Heat culture staple. And it's safe to say that looking forward, teams will pay more attention to meeting their needs directly from the draft by drafting four-year players like Jaime Jaquez Jr., and maybe even see more Mexican-American players enter the NBA in the coming years. Jaime is truly an inspiration to anyone that is working on their goals, but it's taking longer than expected. Keep going, work hard, and be patient, and never give up on your dreams. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Feel free to leave hot takes and video ideas in the comments and be part of my next video. And as always, thank you for watching.